everybody. This is Danelle at Networkchain. Hope this finds you doing wonderful. And today we're going to talk about some of the top news stories in the crypto market over the past week. As usual, let's go ahead and start with the cryptocurrency market update. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at $67,740. It's down a tad by about 1% in the last 7 days. Ethereum is down 7% over the last 7 days. It's still struggling, not doing well against Bitcoin. It's currently trading just under $2,500. Solana, the best performer in the top 10, up nearly 10% over the past week. It's currently trading just over $175. XRP in the 50-cent range, down 5%. Dogecoin up almost 3% at 14 cents. You have Tron and then Toncoin rounding out the top 10. So one of the biggest news stories that came out towards the end of this past week is that Microsoft has a proposal on the table for the shareholders to vote on, although the shareholders are being told to reject the call or asked to consider rejecting the call by the Microsoft's board to incorporate cash and put into Bitcoin, or I shouldn't say incorporate, but to invest some of their cash into Bitcoin, somewhat similar to what MicroStrategy has done, and we'll talk about them in a moment. But as you can see, Microsoft plans to hold an annual shareholder meeting on December 10th, and the proposal will be voted upon at that time, and the company's board of directors is urging shareholders to vote against it. This top proposal, called the Assessment of Investing in Bitcoin, talks about the current investments in corporate bonds are barely outpacing the inflation rates, and that they should consider investing in Bitcoin as an excellent, if not the best, hedge against inflation. You can see here that Microsoft's return on investment over the past year, or really basically year to date since January, has yielded about a 16% gain so far this year, which is excellent. But when we look at some of the other companies, particularly MicroStrategy, which we'll get to in a moment, has done extremely well and outperformed all of the S&P 500 since it started its Bitcoin strategy. So the tech giant, whose largest shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, these are some of the largest asset managers in the world. When you consider that BlackRock, as you can see, which is one of their largest shareholders, are issuers of a Bitcoin ETF. They're one of the largest holders of Bitcoin by a public company through these ETFs. They have, I believe it's nearly 400,000 Bitcoin currently held through the Bitcoin ETFs on behalf of its users, and as I should say, investors. So it's just interesting to know that one of the Mag 7 is considering another one in the Mag 7, because Tesla, which we'll also get to in a moment, has Bitcoin holdings on its balance sheet, that now another Mag 7 company, at least out in public, is potentially looking into investing in Bitcoin, particularly as a store of value and as an inflation hedge, because we all know that costs continue to rise, inflation continues to go up. That's one of the things that the Federal Reserve is trying to combat by deciding to cut back on the interest rates. We'll see what they do going into the remainder of the year. They have a meeting, I believe, sometime in November to make a decision whether or not they will continue to cut on those interest rates. They did 50 basis points at the last meeting, so we'll see if they continue to cut those interest rates down to below 5% for the federal funds rate. So we will obviously keep you posted if we learn anything about the potential of Microsoft investing in Bitcoin. So all eyes will definitely be on that shareholders meeting on December 10th to see what the shareholders decide with regards to that particular proposal. Also, we have some big news with regards to one of the U.S. states that has proposed a bill giving clarity and regulatory information on crypto. Pennsylvania House of Representatives passes crypto bill to bring regulatory clarity. A report is out that the bill aims to provide regulatory clarity for digital assets, including self-custody rights, which is very important, Bitcoin payments, and transaction taxation. So it has now passed the House. It's a bipartisan bill, so both the Democrats and Republicans are on board for this particular bill, and they focus on Bitcoin and digital asset regulation. And now it's going to move over to the Senate. the state Senate, and then after it passes, if it passes through the Senate, then it will go to the governor to sign off. And so this is not the first U.S. state, but it is another U.S. state. There's still only about 4 or 5 states currently that have actual bills similar to this in their state legislature. But you can see that it's just another piece of evidence that goes to show the digital asset economy is the new wave. It is the growing economy. It makes sense because we are digital, living digital lives. And so why not have internet money and have regulations on internet money? Because this is the way I believe, and we believe, that we will be transacting in the future. Now, is fiat currency going to go obsolete? Absolutely not. But cryptocurrencies is definitely a burgeoning economy, and there are ways to be able to save money when it comes to transacting worldwide using the blockchain and providing much needed security. It's going to continue to build in terms of the economy, the digital asset economy, and it's only verified when you look at major states like Pennsylvania, which is certainly in the news over this past news cycle because of the fact that it is a major swing state in the United States election. So this just goes to show that one of the bigger states in the United States is looking to provide clarity for its citizens with regards to the use of digital assets. Now, we mentioned that we'll talk about MicroStrategy for a moment. You can see here they are currently trading at around $232 now, and they reached an all-time high over this past week. And you can see here over the past 5 trading days that MicroStrategy is up 9%, actually outpacing Bitcoin, which was barely up to 1% over the past 5 days. And you can see compared to Microsoft, it's basically almost 3 times as much of a return over the past 5 trading days. And you can see Similar Scientific is another example of a public company that is now going to use MicroStrategy's playbook by investing into Bitcoin and using some of their corporate treasuries to invest and buy Bitcoin and add to their Bitcoin stash by stacking sats. And if you look at how MicroStrategy has done year to date, you can see that it has 3x'd at over 242% return since January, and Bitcoin is up 53%, which is a hefty return. But you can see that MicroStrategy is more of a 4x return than Bitcoin over this past year, and it way outpaces Microsoft's 15%. I said 16 earlier. It's about 15% of a return over the past year. Similar is still down right now, but they have seen some strength over the last couple of months. So as we look at the Bitcoin treasuries, you can see MicroStrategy continues to buy Bitcoin. They now have over 250,000 Bitcoin. And then you have a couple miners. And we mentioned that another Mag 7 company, Tesla, has Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They've had this 9,720 Bitcoin since, I believe it was 2021 when they first made their purchase. They actually had over 43,000 Bitcoin, but they did end up selling about 75% of their haul in 2022 during the bear market. So it wasn't necessarily the best timing when they decided to go ahead and sell. Actually, if they continued to just hold and kept that initial investment, it would be worth over 2.6 or about $2.8 billion today. But, you know, companies have their reasonings. Sometimes they need to have cash. And they said that one of the reasons why they decided to sell Bitcoin when they did had to do with the pandemic. And they wanted to make sure that they had cash reserves on hand. So they sold 75% of their holdings, but they have been holding on to that final 25%. And you can see that since 2022, it's steadily climbing in value. So we shall see what other public companies are going to be added to this Bitcoin treasuries list. Time will tell, but we know for sure that there definitely will be more companies over the next year, over the next several years, that will be added to this list, trying to put at least a small percentage into Bitcoin as a hedge, a store of value, and to try to combat the raising prices and inflation. And before we go, just a quick NFT piece of news, Pudgy Penguins, which began as an NFT on the blockchain, they continue to grow into retail stores with their branding of the Pudgy toys. They started out with a initial launch at Walmart stores, which was huge. It did very well. They then expanded to Target, another nationwide retailer in the United States, and now they are added to Walgreens stores. So this was announced this past week that Pudgy Penguins, which is now considered an IP and brand development company known for bringing beloved digital collectibles to life, today announced that Pudgy Toys line is now available in 2,000 Walgreens locations nationwide. So here's a picture of one of the Pudgy toys. It's a very cute plushy toy. And so they are basically setting a standard of how NFT projects and projects that are based on the blockchain, how they can help to onboard people into the blockchain, making it easy. A lot of times you don't even know that you're using or onboarding onto the blockchain. Just know that that is the base layer that is basically providing that security and transparency using the blockchain. But you can still create a brand using a Pudgy Penguins. Another example is Aku, which we've talked about back in the past, and we'll probably talk about them a little bit more as they continue to build around the artist and founder Michael Johnson and their branding of Aku. So there's definitely ways for NFTs, even though it's still definitely in a bear market. We're seeing that there are ways that you can continue to find ways to provide income and building on the brand by doing something like what Pudgy Penguins is doing with their IP with Pudgy Toys. So as usual, we appreciate you taking the time to watch us here on YouTube every week. Of course, you can always check us here on X as well as IG. We post there nearly every day. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and in the meantime, we look forward to linking up with you soon on the Networkchain. Bye-bye.